internet and the mobile phone might have revolutionized the way we communicate, but Gopal Madhavan takes you for a walk down memory lane and shows you a basic and simple method of communication which is no less effective than all our modern gizmos.
Retired? Certainly not a word you'd use in Mr. Gopal Madhavan's case. Mr. Madhavan may have stopped working in the conventional sense, but he's now busier than ever before. He's currently the president of the Madras Boat Club, he's director of the International Amateur Radio Union, he consults, he gardens, reads, and while he's not getting on his wife's nerves, as he says with a twinkle in his eyes, he's in his shack on the terrace, indulging in a hobby that caught his fancy when he was just a wee boy.
See, I was exposed to ham radio when I was a young boy, maybe 5 or 6 years old, because my uncle, Karnakaran, his call sign is VU2BY, or Boston Yokohama as he used to mention it, was the 6th licensed amateur radio operator in India. He lived in Calicut. He made all his own equipment, and as children we were totally banned to go into the room because there were all these wires exposed and valves, high voltage current going through, everything glowing, etc. So we were allowed to stand near the door and watch him talking to people all over the world.
But what got Mr. Madhavan into amateur radio as a serious hobby was his interest and participation in motorsports in the 1960s.
For amateur radio, it is nothing, it's not rocket science to operate amateur radio. It's like if you pick up a telephone and talk to somebody, you are picking up an instrument and talking to somebody. You are dialing a number, which means you are connecting to a particular person. In a radio, you tune a frequency and talk. You have a microphone with a PTT or press to talk button, because you cannot talk and listen at the same time. It's one after another. That again is the beauty of this thing. In emergency communications, not everybody talks and drowns everybody out. Since we have a very disciplined way of doing it, it will be one after the other, and we will pass the mic on to somebody else, so that there is no confusion, no jamming of one signal to another. So if you have a radio and an antenna, you can just switch it on and talk. You don't need to know anything else other than that.
While types of radios may have changed, amateur radio itself hasn't. It's something you can do as long as you can speak, says Mr. Madhavan. And as far as investing in its infrastructure goes, that depends on how sophisticated you'd like it to be.
Amateur radio, like anything else, you can spend as much as you want. You can start off, basically you can assemble your own radio set for about 2,000 or 3,000 rupees. And an antenna can cost about 400 or 500 rupees. So that is, you can get on the air and be operational with that kind of investment. But like anything else, you can either have a Maruti 800 or a Maybach as the car. So the range could be from a lakh and something to a crore.
Mr. Madhavan believes that amateur radio cannot be replaced by the internet or the mobile phone. He says once children are introduced to it, it would hold a lifelong fascination for them as it works more as a service in times of emergencies. Currently in Chennai, there is a core group of 300 licensed amateurs. There is the Madras Amateur Radio Society and the Chennai VHF group with a very dynamic blog.
The basic nature of amateur radio is the real beauty of it, because ham radio can operate when nothing else is operational. Our radios work on 12 volts battery. So for example, if you have an earthquake or something, your cell phone towers are down, you have no power in the house, your internet will not work because you need power for that, your cell phones won't work, either because the towers are down or when of the emergency, everybody is calling everybody else and the channels get totally choked. So, whereas amateur radio, we can operate with absolutely no infrastructure.
It's no surprise that Mr. Madhavan's interest rubbed off onto his children and wife, who are all hams. And Mr. Madhavan's cozy shack houses a very advanced ham setup.
I have a setup here which radio amateurs sailing around the world in small boats and ships who have no means of communications can use my setup here to send and receive messages, receive weather reports, etc.
And his relationship with Chennai? What does he feel about this city which is bursting at its seams?
Madras, or Chennai as it's called now, I still can't get used to the word Chennai, I still think of it as Madras. I was born and brought up here. Even though my parents are from Kerala, I was born and brought up here. So I've been here for the best part of 75 years. I've seen it change from a very, very small town like city to now I think it's really a big city with a lot of multi-storied buildings, traffic jams which never used to happen. You can quite easily get stuck on Nungambakkam High Road for half an hour. Those are things which were never used to happen before. But since I do a lot of traveling and I go to all the other cities, I still feel Chennai has that bit of, difficult to say, there's a nostalgic kind of feeling that it hasn't changed all that much. It is still a city which you can live in very comfortably. People have time for you, you have time for friends. Whereas if you're in Bombay, like my daughter is, she's got lots of friends, but they may not see each other for 3-4 months. Whereas here, it's quite common for you, somebody to just drop in and say hello to you without having to fix up an appointment and go there. That has not changed in Chennai.
And I second that wholeheartedly. Now, would you like to listen to the story of a nice old-fashioned arranged marriage that soon blossomed into a beautiful love story? Jolly Abraham will not only tell you that story, but will also regale you with the songs while his doting wife Elizabeth fondly watches on.
When the time came for my marriage, I was thinking about my sisters. Then I have seen my sisters' feelings, So at that time I decided that I should not repeat the same thing. Whatever may happen, if I see one girl, that should be the final. 86, September 17th was the marriage.
When we got married, he suddenly one day asked me to sing. And that was really, I was so shocked, I didn't expect that. So I told him, no, I cannot sing. He said, no, I don't expect anything professional from you. I just want to know whether you have the sense of rhythm or the melody in you, whether you'll be, how much of music is there in you. That's all I want to know. So I had no other choice, I had to sing. Being married to a celebrity was not easy. Each time he used to meet new people, wherever we go, there are so many people whom I haven't seen. They used to come and talk, but I have to talk to them, I have to spend time with them, which was really very difficult for me in the beginning. But later, we got used to it.
When I was singing more and more, Christian songs, I was losing interest in singing for the film songs also. But 22 years I sang for the film. Then I sang for Ilayaraja. That was my last film was Katta Panchayat. And afterwards I stopped. I accepted Christ as my savior and I stopped singing for the film. that day onwards I am singing only for the glory of God.
We have 2 kids. They are not kids anymore, they are big children now. I used to enjoy my life more when my children were so small, when they were kids, you know. It used to be the 4 of us together always. Wherever we go, the 4 of us together. If we go for dinner or go for a birthday party, anywhere, wherever we go, children used to be with us and it used to be so good. But as they grew up, you know, they don't come out with us anymore. They like to go with their friends, and it's so boring for them when they come out with us, and I do miss that a lot. I wish they were still kids.
When I'm in India, most of the time I'm busy with my, studio work and composing, and also some people will come, like I'm busy with that. But whenever I go abroad with the family, when I go for the concerts, sometimes they also accompany me. At that time, one thing I like it because no other way, because we are always in one room, one hotel room, and then enjoying the that I'm not, I don't get that type of free time here.
That's the only time we cannot run away from each other, you see. Right from the beginning until this day, I should say, it was he always depends on me for everything. It's only my name that he remembers for everything. Anything at all, he calls out only to me, which sometimes does irritate me. I used to tell him, why don't you call the children? Because they've grown up, they can help you out now. But I don't know, he just keeps calling me for everything, and I'm always around. So my life is around him.
But she is, by doing that, she is making me lazy.
Humor. Now that's another key element that strengthens any relationship, and Jolly and Elizabeth seem to have a jolly good amount of it. Cheers to them. Coming up, a journey to Pallavaram to meet some feisty members of the Anglo-Indian community there.